One of our guests shared about he thought of killing himself. He said that he came to Hawaii and a group of people were really nice to him and took him in, asked him to go to dinner, and after that he didn't kill himself. So we shared that clip, and then I got a message from somebody saying they were also like that, but they came to Hawaii and they had a similar experience and it saved them. So stuff like that is just, man, I'm not here trying to save lives, but if you can just affect somebody positively with just these conversations, like why wouldn't you do it? Doing certain things like the Peace Corps, that's the hardest thing I'll ever do. I had surgery over there. I was 8 hours away from the hospital. I got stuck in a cyclone. You don't speak the language. You're isolated. You learn so much about yourself. It was the most transformative moment of my life. I was able to raise money, get computers, and donate it to my community. My life is completely changed. I don't look at the world the same ever since leaving the Peace Corps. That's priceless. When I studied abroad, I would tell people, yeah, I'm from Hawaii and I speak Hawaiian, and they would react like, oh wait, like there's a language over there? And I would be like, yeah, not a lot of people speak it, probably less than like 3,000 native speakers. Saying that out loud, I would realize, whoa, that's crazy that I speak Hawaiian and it's a dying language. What makes a good community is just accepting each other for their differences, their similarities. And I guess that's what I try to do with the podcast, is show different perspectives and showing that no matter where you come from, we can all still coexist.
Greater Good Radio, connect, learn, heal, and grow, is brought to you by Brain Gain Hawaii, a boutique executive recruiting, career development, and coaching firm. Learn more at braingainhi.com. Welcome to Greater Good Radio. Today's guest is Kamaka Dias, the producer, host, and creator of Keep It Aloha podcast.
Right there.
represent.
Yeah.
So,
aloha. Thanks for having me.
yeah, thank you. So I know that you do kind of a lot of, self-sharing and things like that. But on this show, how would you introduce yourself to people who maybe not know you?
I would say, aloha mai kako, kamaka ko'ino, no Hilo Hawaii mai au. Start with my first language, Hawaiian. I'm just a Hilo boy. Born and raised Hilo, played sports all my life, went Hawaiian Immersion school, moved to Oahu my senior year of high school to play sports, ended up staying over there, went to Manoa, studied abroad a couple of times, joined the Peace Corps, came back, did this thing where I paid off my student loans, and ever since then, it's just been nonstop opportunities, started a couple of businesses, started a podcast, just launched our nonprofit today.
Oh,
So got my hands in a lot of things. So I would just say I'm just a guy who doesn't know how to sit still.
so you have entrepreneurial roots? Like your parents are entrepreneurs?
No, I don't. Nothing. I'm just somebody who is curious in life, and I'm open to all opportunities. So I kind of fall into these new things. Like I have no business background. I think the first type of business acumen that I got was during the race to 50K, where I paid off $50,000 of student loans in 1 year, just doing a bunch of odd jobs. And I think with that, with scheduling, communicating with people, keeping track of the money that I'm spending, posting on Instagram, all of that gave me a little bit of some experience in business, because little did I know that I was actually running my own business, doing every single part of a business. And then from there, I met the people from Hawaiiverse, my first business that I co-founded with a couple of people in Hilo, and that's an online platform that supports local businesses. So meeting those people and learning from our CEO, Jared Kushi, who went to Scheidler, who has 4 degrees and super smart businessman, and then meeting my podcast partner who also has a business degree, and then meeting other people who started companies and businesses. So it's really just learning as I go.
Wait, was Jared the one that was just with Life DNA?
Yeah, he was with Life DNA. Yeah,
Okay.
they just sold recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I met him before at different startup events.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yeah, so he's a smart guy.
So how many brothers and sisters you got?
I got 5. I have a mom, dad, stepmom, stepdad, 2 full siblings, 2 half siblings, and 1 stepsister.
And any of them are entrepreneurial?
No, nobody. Really, nobody. My dad works for Alulike, which is a business that helps Native Hawaiians get jobs and stuff. And then my mom, she went back to school as in her 40s and became a nurse.
Yeah, my friend's dad started Alulike.
Oh,
with his
really?
friends. Yeah.
No way. Yeah. My dad's been there for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wait, which Hawaiian immersion school did you go to?
I went to Punana, which is the preschool, and then I went to Ka'umekeka'eo, which is the elementary school in Keaukaha. And then I went to Navahi'i Okalani Pu'u in Ke'au.
That's not Kukahakalau's one then.
No, it's different. I'm
Oh.
not sure what that is.
I thought it was like Kikiokaina maybe.
No, I'm not sure. Maybe
No?
that was before my time. Yeah. I don't know. I'm in the second decade of the Hawaiian immersion
That's
school.
so funny. Before my
Yeah.
time. Before my time. Wait, did you say Aho Punaleo?
Yeah. Punana Hilo.
Oh, okay. My friend works over there.
Who is it?
Keishan Kikina.
I don't know. Who that
He's
is.
like their operations guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that was after my time. Or...
No, but he's on Oahu, so I don't know if it's
Oh,
if
okay. It's
all of it or what
different,
or
yeah.
how it goes.
I think the main office is in Hilo, and then our school, the one that I went to, was in Hilo, but they don't have that one anymore. It's in Ke'au now.
You know what's interesting to me is this kind of entrepreneurial bent that you've got going on. I'm wondering if it comes from somewhere though. You know what I mean? What about in your ancestry?
I don't know. Yeah. I got to look back into my roots. I can't imagine it from my Hawaiian side, maybe my Japanese side or Portuguese. I know my dad and brother told me that our like great something grandfather brought the first ukulele to Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So maybe that side. I'm not sure.
Is that Portuguese
Yeah.
though?
Portuguese. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. The ukulele comes from Portugal.
And you have the ukulele still?
Oh, no. They
Oh.
brought the ukulele to
That'd be
Hawaii.
nuts.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even play ukulele.
Oh.
Yeah. They named one after me, though.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. They did?
Yeah, Kamaka.
Yeah. Actually, shoot, where is my ukulele? It used to be up here. I moved it.
Yeah. You got some nice decoration over here.
Yeah, I bought it from my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was hers once.
Yeah. That's a good question, though. I got to look into that and maybe talk to my parents because I think I'm the first one to, live abroad, first one to leave Hawaii, first one to have a degree in college in my immediate family.
Maybe that's more like navigator.
Yeah, I think trailblazer, maybe. I guess I've always felt different or I felt like I had a higher purpose. I don't know what it is. I've always been like the golden child of the family, in sports and everything. I've always had a lot of support from my family. And they've always supported me in every avenue that I've ever entered. So I think when you grow up in a house where you don't hear no too much, when you're like, hey, I want to move to Oahu my senior year of high school, or I want to go study abroad, or hey guys, I'm going to leave everybody and live in Madagascar for 2 years and not get paid.
Mm-hmm.
When you have people supporting you, it gives you confidence to do whatever is the next most exciting thing.
So you talking about your parents or who are you talking about?
Parents and friends and, all my family, just the close people in your life.
When you were raised then, are you saying that your parents were pretty just like loving and caring and so on? Because,
Yeah.
so you never got cracks, nothing.
Oh, I mean, I was a Kolohe kid. I mean,
Oh.
I got in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
But, so this discipline was big and hard work, chores, My younger siblings got it easy, by the time they were a little older, like they barely had to do any chores. And we'd always complain, like, how come Kano and Ku don't gotta take out the trash or mow the lawn? Like, how come they don't gotta wash the dishes like us or vacuum the whole house before we can leave or they can leave to hang out with their friends? Like, we'd always complain about
What was the
that.
answer?
I don't know.
Oh.
They just had it easy. I mean,
Oh.
maybe as you grow up, your parents also grow up and maybe they're a little softer. So, I don't think I got like bad lickings. I remember like if having to like put the soap in your mouth or like eat chili pepper if you said something bad but yeah, I never got like cracks with the slippers. I remember making my mom angry once in a while, but I would always run. And I think then she'd kind of forget about it. Like I'd go hide under the couch or whatever, go in a room. Even like my brother, I think he punched a hole in one of our doors at our house in Hilo. So I did get on people's nerves, but
Oh, you mean you made him mad and then he punched a hole?
yeah. Like I would run upstairs, lock the door, and then he'd be like, Kamaka, and yeah.
Is your older brother?
Older brother, yeah.
So you want to share that story or no, secret story?
No, I mean, my family is really close, all of it. Like even I'm so blessed with great step parents and, our parents put us first. So, they all get along. We can be at family events together. And then growing up with like 4 to 5 siblings in a house at a time, there's always going to be trouble. I remember one time when we moved to our stepdad's place in Hilo, a couple years after my parents were divorced, there was this hallway and there's a lamp at the end. And we had this basketball pillow And we were soccer players growing up. So, one person would sit at the end of the hallway, be the goalie. And I remember kicking the ball and it went too high and it hit the lamp and it fell and it broke. I think that was one of the first times we got in big trouble. And I remember having to save up money to pay for it. And then even in third grade, my brother and we would steal Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Yu-Gi-Oh was this card game that was really big. So our neighbor, we were really close with our neighborhood kids, and this one neighbor would be like, yeah, you go to Walmart, you just go to the cards were right by the toilet section. So we would go like after soccer or whatever. Be like, hey mom, can we stop at Walmart, use the bathroom? And then we go over there, you go to the toy section because the toy section never had one camera. So we go there, stuff our pants, our shorts with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then go out, and then we would have so many. And then one time, I don't know, we probably were doing it for about a year, third, fourth grade, I think. And then we're with our mom, our two younger siblings, they're crying. We're just there, me and my brother did the thing, go to the toy section, put it in our shorts. And then that one night we were leaving, security says like, hey, you two over there, can you stop? And like, I'm with my mom and my 5 siblings, and they're like all confused, and they said, empty your pockets. So emptied it, gave them all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Little siblings were crying. My mom was so stressed. We had to go in the back, and even when we were walking in the back, I still had more in my like compression shorts. I was like, I took them out, and I was like, here, I got more, sorry. And then, yeah, we were banned from Walmart for 1 year, and then we had to pay like a $75 fine. I don't know what it is. But yeah, that was the last time I ever stole. And my life's been all up since then.
So was it somebody you knew that busted you?
No, it was just like a security guard or like a worker at Walmart.
But nobody you knew like related or nothing?
No, yeah. And it's funny because then my first job a couple of years after, like I was in high school, like junior year, was helping my friend's grandma restock the greeting cards at Walmart.
So what did your mom say in that situation?
I don't remember. It was so long time ago. I think they were just upset. I don't think we got lickings or anything. I think it was just more like you got to save up to pay that fine, and then you can't go to Walmart for a year.
So was it a defining moment for you?
I got to think so. I was always a respectful kid, but, like I said, I was kolohe, and I was just always running around, getting in trouble. And I think after that, I guess I was more aware of the repercussions of stealing, of doing something that's not acceptable, socially acceptable. Because, yeah, I've been pretty straight edge since then. Yeah.
So what other stories from your young days can you share that gives context to who you are now?
I mean,
especially ones maybe you never shared before.
Yeah, I know. I got to think about it. I rarely talk about my childhood, and I love my childhood so much because it was such a great time. I started playing soccer when I was 6 years old. Charizard Fire Spin. That's when I met my best friend, Chad. So we're still friends to this day, over 20-something years of friendship. And from then on, it was just soccer team, select team, the all-star teams, traveling to go to different tournaments.
Oh, you was for real kind.
Yeah. No, I went to like ODP, which is like the Olympic Development Program in Oregon.
Was that when you had the long hair?
No, I never had long hair. I think at one point I had red hair, and then in high school, we would bleach our hair for football and soccer. So I had bleached hair before. So yeah, just sports and video games. I really like playing video games. I remember getting good grades in third grade, or sometime in elementary, I had to get good grades and save up half of the money so I could buy a PlayStation 2 because my parents would split it with me. So I remember getting that, and I would play all the time these games, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. We had a GameCube, and we would always play with my siblings, and we got a Wii for Christmas. Our family was really close growing up. We would play video games, we'd watch TV shows, and I think that childhood still sticks with me in the sense where I have this childlike nature. I like these dorky things, like recently I started watching anime, which is basically just adult cartoons. And every Saturday morning as a kid, we would watch Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, plus you had the Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff
and
too.
Yeah, all that, and Pokemon and whatever. I remember just getting my homework done so fast and playing video games until I gotta go sleep, or waking up in the morning as soon as I wake up, play video games right before school. So I just love those things. So in a sense, those things are nostalgic to me. I love feeling like I'm just a big kid. And I think a lot of that is from my childhood because I loved my childhood so much. from playing sports, playing video games. And I don't really play video games anymore, but like watching TV shows and all the things that used to make me happy as a kid. And I'm realizing, those things can still make you happy as an adult, because I feel like we get away from a lot of the things that made us happy because we were so focused on our jobs and trying to find a partner or, paying the bills, and that we forget about the simple things that just gave us joy.
So what's something now that you do that brings you joy, that reminds you of your childhood?
Sports, being active, being outside.
You still play soccer?
Yeah, 2 years ago I joined the soccer league. I didn't play for a while. I got more into football towards the end of my high school. That's why I moved
So
to
you play
Kaiser.
football now?
Not football is hard to play after graduating, so that's why I play soccer or
What
basketball.
position were you?
In football?
Yeah.
I started off as a quarterback at Pee Wee's, and then I went defense, and then I was a receiver in high school and kicker because I played soccer. So I wanted to play in college, but I ended up getting hurt my senior year, and then I was just very injury prone. So
What was your playing weight?
I was probably 150 in
Oh.
high school. Yeah. But I think like playing sports all my life, that was so big on my mentality because it taught you discipline, it taught you failure, it taught you success. So I take that with me, into my adulthood. And I feel like people that don't play sports, that don't understand like this discipline or like doing hard things, they're a little softer in life.
If you took all your sports experiences and then you had to narrow it down to like, this is my most transformative sports experience, what would it be?
Probably like that period of time before high school when I was on the all-star teams with my friend. It was always the same people every year, and then a couple people would change. But that's when I, made my best friends. And, such a pivotal moment in life just growing up. And I think that's probably one of like my greatest memories. And gave you confidence because like we were good.
Yeah.
So it gives you that desire to always want to be good and win.
So Chad, you said was your best friend.
Yeah, Chad, and then this other guy, Ren, which we're not super close anymore, but we still see him in Hilo, and then a couple other friends from sports and just Hilo boys.
So if you think about Chad, what's a story you can share that kind of gives us a good picture of who Chad is to you?
Yeah, I mean, him and his mom played an important role in my childhood. I don't know how old we were, but probably elementary. We were at the Kirkbanks tournament here on Oahu, and then we finished the game, and then we get news that like Chad had to leave because apparently his house was on fire. So he lost his dad. His dad passed away because his house burnt.
Dad was in the house?
The dad was in the house. They found him like under the pool table or something like that. So I don't know what happened. So he is an only child, and his mom, Auntie Diane, was just like one of my like second moms growing up. She would always take us to practice, pick us up, because like, my family had so many kids that they had to take care of. So I'd always be on the same team with Chad and our friend Ren. We spent all the time together, playing video games at his house, playing airsoft or running around at his like new house before they were able to rebuild their house. He got into bodyboarding with some other friends. So, but even though we had different interests, like I never got into bodyboarding, we were always like super tight. Like I would still go and just like take pictures of them, cruise, we'd go on trips together. It was just nice to have that like go-to person, and his mom really just took care of me, so I'm like super grateful for them.
Did
like,
you know the
during my
dad?
childhood. He was our soccer coach on our first team, Charizard Firespin.
Oh, so you knew him.
So only for a couple of years until we got older. It was still when we were pretty young, like maybe 10 years old. I'm not sure.
Do you remember any story with him?
No, not at
Yeah.
all. I remember we have these old pictures where we had our end of the year soccer party at their house, at their pool. I think there's a picture with maybe me and the dad and somebody else and the mom. I think that's about it. I can't remember anything else.
It must have been kind of nuts during that period for him, though.
Yeah, I think it affects you more as an adult. I'm sure he thought about it more as an adult, not having like a father figure. Because when you're a kid, you don't really understand the gravity of things. But his mom really carried the weight for all of us, I think.
So you're close with his mom?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Like, I love them so much. Auntie Dai, she's the best, makes the best spam musubis.
What's your fondest memory or story with Auntie Dai?
I think her just always driving us to practice and like feeding us, and like we would sleep over at Chad's house and she would always make us food. like wake up and make these little mini spam musubis or have like Portuguese sausage, bacon, eggs, and rice out on, their patio. She's just like a very loving mother. I think it's not one single memory. It's just that whole time where she was just always caring for us. Yeah.
So would you rather live in Hilo or would you rather live here?
No, I thought about that for a long time and people ask me that. I love the independence of being here and I love my family so much. I love having Big Island and Hilo as an escape. So I can leave this concrete jungle and just kind of relax, slow down, just be present with my family, even though I still have to work. Over there's a lot of familial obligations. And my family's so big, there's like always a birthday party, a graduation, something going on. So family dinner. So when I'm there, it's like, we got to go here. Can you pick up this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And with my schedule, it's so hard. So that's why I love being here, because I can just do whatever I want and I can just focus on all the things that I'm doing. And then I can just go to Hilo and then spend time. So I love living here and then going back to visit. So I'll probably be here the rest of my life.
So when you said that you always felt like you wanted to do more, when was the first time you noticed that?
Maybe in college, because I wasn't super confident growing up. I had social anxiety. Like I would get super nervous around big crowds and people I didn't know, like get sweaty. And like I remember when I went to Kaiser, because I came from such a small school of about 100 students from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Hawaiian Immersion up to
12th grade.
To 12th then.
Yeah, and it's always the same people every year in every class. So going there was huge. It was like going to college. Going from a school of 100 people to like 1,200. And by myself, I didn't know anybody, which is crazy. I don't even know what made me want to do that. But yeah, I remember going to school, like normal school, and it was so different to me because for our Hawaiian immersion school, we would just stay in the class and the teacher would switch. Oh. So we just had our own classroom, and then maybe a class or two, we would go to like a specific teacher's room. So you could like make your own schedule, and then there was like the breaks before and after class, and then lunch. And I only had half day because I had more credits from my other school. So at one point, people asked me, Kamaka, why don't you hang out with us like between the breaks? Because I would finish class and go straight to the other class and just wait. And why do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm used to it. And like, I didn't really feel comfortable like being around a lot of people, even though it seemed like
I'm very brand new in a school as a senior on a different island.
Yeah, but people loved me because I practiced with the Kaiser football team over the summer. So
Did
I went
you move for soccer? Is that what?
For football.
That why?
I moved for football. And I was supposed to go back to Hilo for soccer to play with my best friend.
Was there?
Right after.
Okay.
Or after, before. I forget when he was there. It was a new coach because my dad's a Kaiser grad. So I went to Oahu to train with the kicker that summer. And while I was there, my dad set me up with the Kaiser team just to stay in shape and train because I was going to miss training in Hilo.
And then your plan was to play football.
Oh, and it was to play in college, but it was to always go back to Hilo that summer. But I was training with them and they were like, hey, you should just stay. And this is like a couple weeks before school started. Senior year, which is like the biggest year for everybody. All my best friends were in Hilo. But they said, oh, you should just stay and play with us because they just moved up to the red division with Kahuku, Farrington, a great opportunity if I wanted to play in college. So I talked to my parents and we made the move a couple weeks before school started. And like I told my friends, like, hey guys, I'm moving to Oahu.
Who'd you live with?
I lived with my auntie in Hawaii. So it was just me and her. And then the plan was to go back to Hilo for soccer season. So you can't do that. But my dad knew the vice principal. So we had like this secret plan, like I'll play football over there and then I'll transfer back to Hilo High. That's because that's where we played because my Hawaiian immersion school didn't have a soccer team or any sports team. So I was going to go back, but I ended up loving Kaiser, having a good time there. I ended up just staying at Kaiser for soccer and missing playing with my best friends that I grew up with my whole life. And we actually ended up getting second in states for soccer and we ended up sucking in football.
Wait, so you did go back Hilo?
I didn't. Ended up staying at Kaiser.
And then you played soccer for Kaiser?
And I played soccer for Kaiser, and we ended up getting second in states, which is the furthest they've ever been.
Were you a starter?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, so you was an athletic recruit.
Yeah. And it's funny because I didn't realize I was an athlete growing up. Now, I just ran a marathon, and I got a pretty good time.
You mean last week's one?
Yeah, last week's one. Yeah, I didn't have that mindset where I was, like, athletic. Like I said, I wasn't super confident. So, like, if I was playing now with this mindset that I have, I swear I'd be so much better because a lot of it was just this natural ability.
Where does the nervousness come from then?
I think maybe just going to a small school, I think soccer was the only thing that pushed me out of my comfort zone, or like football, like to meet other people outside of my school. Other than that, there wasn't very many opportunities. And like I felt like Hawaiian immersion school wasn't cool back in the day. So speaking Hawaiian wasn't cool. So I kind of felt like an outcast. Like we were the weird, like the Hawaiian kids coming from Navahi going to play for Hilo High, or like all the people playing in the AYSO, they knew each other from school.
So you felt
but
like you didn't belong?
I was also accepted, like everybody was so good, but just in my head, I was like, I'm that weirdo from the other school that speaks Hawaiian. Like my dad would speak Hawaiian to us.
Who told you that though?
Nobody. It's just in your head growing up, right? Like my dad would speak Hawaiian to us at grocery stores, out in public. He only speaks Hawaiian to us, even when he's cheering. And like sometimes we wouldn't want to respond because we don't want people to hear us speaking Hawaiian, because they'll look at us and think like, oh, what are these people saying? So it was just all in my head. And it just, I guess, wasn't cool back in the day. Now it's super cool, right? So I think it was just not having like a role model or representation, knowing like, oh, there's athletes that came from Hawaiian immersion school or that speak Hawaiian that are cool. I wanted to be like the English speakers, the people that went to normal schools, because that's who I saw on TV. That's the people who I thought were cool.
What do you think now?
I think you can make it from wherever you come from. And I think...
No, in terms of speaking Hawaiian, being Hawaiian.
Oh, it's the coolest thing ever.
When did that switch?
When I studied abroad. That's when I left Hawaii for the first time. And I would tell people, yeah, I'm from Hawaii and I speak Hawaiian. And they would react like, oh, wait, like there's a language over there? And I'd say, yeah. And
Where was that?
In Spain, in Sevilla. And people would be like, wait, I didn't even know it was a language. And I would be like, yeah, not a lot of people speak it. Probably less than like 3,000 native speakers or whatever. And then saying that out loud, I would realize like, whoa, that's crazy that I speak Hawaiian and it's a dying language and I don't even appreciate it. And I live in Hawaii where people are dying to vacation, dying to live. And that's just home for me. So that perspective totally changed me and gave me appreciation for being here, and not only being from Hawaii and living in Hawaii, but being a native Hawaiian, speaking the language, living the culture, you know, growing up, being able to dance hula, do the chants, learn about the Hawaiian history, stuff like that. Like I said, in school, I didn't care about any of that.
Do you remember it all now? Still yet or nah?
Some things stick with you. I mean, a lot of like the habits, like discipline and stuff like don't step over somebody because you're going to take their mana, or respect elders.
How does that work? Don't step over them?
Like if somebody's sitting down like this cross-legged,
okay,
and you step over somebody, you got to go back, because if you step over them, you're taking their mana.
You cross into their space.
Yeah, something like that. And then even like before hula, if you have a bad lavena, like your attitude's bad, you cannot dance, you can't do anything.
Because your energy's off.
You have to, wait till that goes away, and then you have to come in with a great attitude. So like all those little things that I didn't really think I cared about, it was kind of ingrained into me. I really appreciate it as an adult.
What are some other things you learned like that? Because those are super good actual practices in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is clearing your space, clearing your mind, clearing your body from, you know, lower vibration type of energy before you enter into a situation, especially in a group.
From Hawaiian immersion?
Yes.
I mean, not talking back to the teachers. I got in trouble. Insubordination so many times. I think, you know, working with a community.
Or maybe traditions or teachings that are not commonly taught in Western culture.
I mean, being able to look at things from a different perspective, not having like direct translations of things. I can't think of a specific example, but like a lot of times in language, we directly translate it, which doesn't really make sense. Hawaiian, it's all contextual, and a lot of words have multiple meanings.
Yeah.
So just looking at things from different perspectives and trying to find the deeper meaning of things sometimes. I think that's one of the big things. We talk about kauna, which is like the deeper meaning of things, the hidden meaning. So we're always forced to like think outside the box and look at things in a different way, because that's what the Hawaiians did back in the day.
Is the kauna the spiritual meaning, or is that the symbolic meaning? What is nohuna?
Nohona is like living, like way of life. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Because my friend Pono Shim, who made this shirt, but he passed away last. You friends with Pono?
Well, no, I heard of him because he worked with the lady who broke down Aloha.
Auntie Pilahi Paki.
Pilahi Paki, yeah.
And Pono's dad was one of the guys who started Alulike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he would talk about Hawaiian language wasn't written, right? It was spoken. So then you would have kind of the literal meaning, and there's a word for that. And then you would have the symbolic meaning, and then you would have the spiritual meaning. Is that what you were taught too?
I'm sure I was, and probably didn't remember, but symbolic meaning for sure. Like, what does this mean? Like, we would read passages and books and all kind of, we would always have to, and lyrics as well, break down lyrics. And like you said, there's a literal meaning, like Kaulana na pua o Hawaii, like famous are the flowers of Hawaii. Okay, that's the literal meaning. But who are the flowers? The flowers are the children. The flowers are us, stuff like that.
And then what's the spiritual meaning beyond that?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't really spiritual.
Because so the shirt right here, right? It's aloha, right? So in the orange,
oh nice,
it's aloha. And then each of the words are kind of the different meaning, instead of like ahunui or lokahi or so on, it's like translated a little bit differently. So what my understanding was that when Pono would tell us, he'd say, when you break it down to like alo and ha, so he broke it down, he said alo is like in the presence of, and then ha is breath, right? So then the literal meaning is like breath, right? And then the symbolic meaning could be love or hello or goodbye, all that kind of stuff. This is my own interpretation. But the spiritual meaning is that like through our breath, like we're connected, right? Our spirits, our ha is our life. We are connected, right? That was my understanding of it. So what would be your understanding of that?
Of aloha?
Yeah. And in the breakdown of the component pieces and so anything. You know what I mean?
Well, from having conversations with guests on my podcast and learning more about aloha and the etymology of it, I heard about how people would separate like alo and ha, same with ha and ole. And those were kind of just made up things, which is, I love the symbology of it. I love the sentiment of it, that you're
what do you mean
in
it's the made up things?
So if you look at the word aloha, that's a single word. So you wouldn't be able to break it up because then you would be saying aloha with the kahako on top. So it wouldn't make sense for it to be two separate words if we're just saying aloha. So there's been people that made videos about this and talked about it. So they were saying that same with ha and ole, like without breath, they were said it was always just haole, which is something foreign. But there's different accounts of like saying maybe somebody heard it or during the Captain Cook time. But then some people say it was used before that as just something foreign, haole. So it was never like ha and ole without breath.
Okay.
So, but that's not, to me, it doesn't really matter if people believe that or not because it's a nice, beautiful story. To me, I think aloha is something that we can't touch or feel or see, but then we can. I don't know if that makes sense, right? It's not something tangible, but I can still see acts of it. It's like kindness. You can't like touch kindness, but then you see the acts of kindness and you can feel kindness, when that's received and when that's given. So I think aloha is like the greatest form of love and compassion. If you just think of like an amazing human being, that person has aloha. There's just so many different definitions of aloha, and for me it always changes with where I'm at in life. Like my podcast is called Keep It Aloha, so to me keep it aloha means like keep it real, keep it honest, being real in the moment, being present. So if I let somebody cross the road and they don't shaka back, I get mad. I'm like, wow, it's not aloha. Aloha to me is patience. That's what keeping it aloha is. If somebody holds the door open for me when I'm walking into a store and that's just an act of kindness, or I dropped something and somebody picked it up and said, hey, you dropped this, then aloha is kindness. So I think aloha always changes with where you're at in life, but there's always the foundation of, love, compassion, kindness.
So is it a practice or is it a thing? Or
I think it's interchangeable. It's a noun, it's a verb. I think putting it into practice is what makes it, because like I just saw a play recently and they said food isn't good until it's shared. Same with aloha. Aloha isn't aloha until it's given. And I love that so much.
Why?
Because aloha should be shared, you know? I always say that aloha is reciprocated, is like a reciprocal thing, which is like given and then received. But I don't always believe it needs to be reciprocal.
So is it something that somebody owns?
No, it's almost like this mystic figure where we talk about it all the time, right? I think that if you give it, it exists, or it gives it meaning, because if I have aloha in me, if you have aloha in you, like what good is it going to be with just holding on to that aloha?
How about a personal story that fully illustrates what aloha means to you?
When I was in the Peace Corps, you know, living in Madagascar with some of the poorest people in the world, to me, they had unconditional aloha because they didn't have a lot. They always gave and they were always happy and they didn't complain. They took in a random foreigner, a haole, treated them kindly, treated them with respect, always helped out, always offered help. My family over there, I felt like that's aloha, is giving something to somebody without expecting to receive anything back and being a real and genuine person through it all.
So like when you were there, what's the most meaningful story that you can remember that demonstrates this?
I mean, there's so many moments.
The one that touches on the vein of aloha the most. Or if you told a story, then it illustrates that to somebody who would have no idea. Or an example.
To me, it's like a culmination of a lot of different experiences. I remember when I was finishing my second year, I was moving out of my town and I extended, so I was going to move into the capital. So we were having this big celebration for our Seije, which is like the elementary middle school. It's like the 40th year anniversary. But it was also like a go away party for me as well. And then I had to get up on stage and give a speech. And like I couldn't stop crying. I was like trying to give my speech in Malagasy. I think it was just because I felt so loved there. I can't say it was like a specific moment, but like I said, it's like all these experiences wrapped into one from a certain people or a group or community that just made you feel like you're accepted, because as humans, we just want to be accepted, right? Wherever we go, we don't want to be judged or ridiculed or criticized for whatever we did. And like I just never felt that with my community. I always felt accepted and loved and even glorified. And my ego loves that, right? So it's hard to explain. And like this is the problem with trying to share about my Peace Corps experience, because I could tell you how great it felt being there, how hard it was traveling 36 hours in like a small taxi Bruce, like this bus, and sleeping over there, or getting stuck in a cyclone, or you know, worrying about malaria. I can tell you all of that, getting water from a well, and, you know, having to go poop in a hole outside for 2 years. I could tell you all that, but like, you never really understand. You don't know how it feels until you experience it yourself. So I guess that's what aloha. You don't know it until you experience it yourself, and until you have a moment like that.
So when was a moment that you shared aloha with one of them and you really knew it landed?
I mean, I lived my life through aloha, saying hi to people, playing with the kids. I shared aloha with my cohort as well. I think we were the Ohana stage. Everybody gets a nickname. So we ended up being the Ohana stage because we were really close. Stage is like a cohort in French. Like I said, it's all wrapped into one. But this is when I was able to raise money to get computers and donate it to my community. I think that even though I gave them something physically, it just felt good.
Where did you raise the money?
Just online. Like people in America donated money.
Just like a GoFundMe kind of?
Yeah, something like that. So I was able to give them, like open up a computer lab for them. And it just felt so good. I feel like I could do all these things. Like recently I raised $2,000 selling my books to get more money to donate to the computer lab just like a couple weeks ago, a month ago.
The same computer lab?
Yeah, same computer lab. Because they just needed $200. So I told people, and that's a moment of aloha too. I told people like, hey guys, my followers, I need $200. But instead of just giving $200, I want to do something a little bit more fun, get people involved. So I'll match the $200 and then give everybody who donates to the computer lab a book that I wrote about Madagascar. And we ended up raising $2,000. That's aloha right there. So being able to give that to them, and like I just know no matter what I do, it could never be enough for what they've given to me. Like as a Peace Corps volunteer, you get so much more than you can ever give.
What do you get?
New perspective on life, gratitude, love, hardship, like all the good and the bad I love. It's all experience for me. But my life is completely changed. Like I don't look at the world the same ever since leaving the Peace Corps. That's priceless. Like I could give them $1 million and I still feel like it wouldn't match what they've given me.
So if you could only take one memory from the Peace Corps and everything else is going to get wiped out, and it's a specific memory, what would it be?
The thing is, our country director shared this quote by Maya Angelou that I love, that sticks with me to this day, is like, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So I feel like that's how it is. Like I can't remember the conversations. I can't remember exactly what we talked about, what they did. I just remember how they made me feel. And it was just love. That's why I'm so grateful. I would have to really think back of like a specific moment, but it'll probably just be like a memory of me just going to my neighbors or family's house and just sitting on the floor and eating with them and just talking and speaking in Malagasy and making jokes.
Oh, so you spoke fluently that language?
Yeah. We learned for 4 hours a day during training. We lived with a host family. And then after training, you go to your city or town or whatever, and you just have to speak it. You got to learn it through life. That's how you go to the market and bargain.
What's something that was really similar to Hawaii culture over there?
Well, a lot of it, because I didn't realize that it's in the same Austronesian family as Hawaiian. So a lot of the language is similar.
So wasn't that as hard for you to learn as
Yeah,
the
I
others
picked up
then?
pretty quickly. And I just came from learning Spanish as well. So my mind was already, ready for language. So like things like urua, telu, fitu valu, ehikue valu, lanitra, lani, vava, vaha. It's very similar to Austronesian languages. So it was pretty cool seeing that. And then even going to the coast and seeing a lot of the similar plants and trees and fruits. Even like the landscape really felt like I went from big island to a bigger island.
What was the most surprising thing about there?
All the bad, there's still so much good. It's pretty safe. There's just like petty crime. Like you got to worry about getting pickpocketed, or, maybe don't travel at night because they're bandits, stuff like that. And it's crazy seeing poverty up close and in person, because we talk about it, and, starving kids in Africa. But it's crazy to see actual beggars and hanabatas running down their nose, kids with raggedy clothes living there, like among those people, like mud huts and very, very impoverished community. I think seeing how okay they were and happy, it makes you realize that you don't need a lot in life. Like I'm a big minimalist. I don't buy things. I don't need much. Like you ask me what I want for Christmas or my birthday, I'm going to say nothing. I already have everything I need. The Malagasy people just inspired me so much to know that you can have little, but you can still live with a lot.
And then what would you say the biggest learning that someone who's never been there could take away from that? Same thing or something else?
I mean, you're going to get perspective regardless, because it's just so different than anywhere you've been, especially if you come from a developed nation. I think one big thing is being a good tourist. It made me realize, or made me learn how to be a good guest in another culture. Because like, why wouldn't you try to learn their culture, their practices, the do's and don'ts, what makes someone respectful in that culture? And you can take that anywhere you go. So being a good guest wherever you go is so important. And I wish more people did that coming to Hawaii.
Just being like a good steward.
Yes. And like knowing that that's not your home. Like you can try to live like them, act like them, speak their language, learn about their culture, their history, their ways of life. But you're still going to be a guest. Like I'm still a Vaza. My host mom calls me Zanaka Vaza, which means like my haole kid, and I don't take offense to that. It's not derogatory. That's what it is, And I could joke like, Fagasi za. Like, I'm already Malagasy. I speak Malagasy. Like obviously it's a joke and they find it funny. But knowing that you're just there as a guest to add value to their community and you're not there to take, I think that's like the biggest lesson people can learn.
So I kind of hear in the talk, the word love and acceptance comes up a lot. Why is that important to you?
I'm at the point where I don't need external validation to like be a happy person, to love myself, to be accepted. But it feels nice. Like at the end of the day, like who doesn't want a hug? Who doesn't want to have nice things said about them? Who doesn't want to go to a crowd and everybody's cheering for them? You know, I think it's just, as human, we like that stuff. It makes us feel good. And why not make other people feel good and accepted, included in things? And that's why Hawaiian culture is so good at that. I mean, we have two separate words for us. It's kako and mako. One is exclusive, one is inclusive. And we all say it's a kako thing. All of us inclusive. So I think just intrinsically.
So what is mako then? That's like only some
Mako is like,
can
if
be
I
there?
was just like, I'm saying like, me, Lincoln, and Connor, I'm just like, oh, ehela na mako I kahale. We're going to go to the house.
Oh.
If I'm saying all of us, like you included, we're like, ehele kako, let's all go. So that's what it is. You know, we're meant to be in tribes. If you think back to the primitive days, we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to find community. And through community, you know, what makes a good community is just accepting each other for their differences, their similarities, different ways of life. And I guess that's what I try to do with the podcast, is show different perspectives and showing that no matter where you come from, if you're Hawaiian, not Hawaiian, you live here, don't live here, we have different experiences in life. We can all still coexist.
If you take the podcast that you've been doing, you've done what, like hundreds of episodes,
Yeah,
right?
104. We're about to record our last episode of the year. Like, I think that'll be like 106 or something.
Then what would be the most important thing you can take away from that you didn't know before?
This is going to sound crazy. And I saw a quote from Socrates that says, there's true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. And after 100-something conversations, I think what I've learned is that I don't know anything. I can have all these conversations and we could talk about what's right or wrong, or what we think a Hawaiian is or what a Hawaiian isn't, what it means to be Hawaiian enough, what it means to be a local, what it means to be a good person. At the end of the day, like, we don't know the answer. Like, nobody has a right or wrong answer. So I just stopped looking at things as right or wrong, and now I just look at things as different. Like, there's no right way to live life. If you want to get a 9-to-5 job, if you don't, if you want to start a business, if you just want to live on the beach, like, as long as you're not harming others or yourself, live your life. I think knowing that we do not know anything, it's almost liberating. Like, it takes pressure off of you. Like, we could just have these conversations knowing, like, we're just talking. We're really just trying to figure it out on our own. That's what the podcast is. 100 episodes of me trying to figure out my identity and figure out life. And that's what it is. And
What'd you come up with?
be a good person. And
That's interesting though, right?
Yeah.
Because you said be a good person, but then you said also, just before, you said, how can you just be without having to worry about good or bad?
but then that's also subjective. What is a good person to you?
Yeah.
You know? So a good person to me could be a bad person to you. But then not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody looks at the world the same way as you. You know, we have two realities that we're seeing, especially with social media and comments. Like, I could have the greatest clip that's just so loving and such a powerful message, and hundreds of people love it and said nice things. And then there's like one or two comments that's like, this is so stupid. Why are they doing this? It's always going to be like that. Because not everybody sees the world like you, and that's fine. And like, accepting that, it's fine.
So these days you're doing the podcast, you got a book,
Yeah, I got a book,
the nonprofit,
nonprofit.
and what else?
My business, Hawaiiverse. We just launched a new card game called Moat Gabs, which is like a play on Mad Gabs. So you can go order that. We just had a launch. We have a pop-up at Honolulu Coffee Company, so people can go check that out, the one right across the convention center. And then I'm also partnered with a company called Mahalo Shoots, which is a merch company. So I do that, and then I have just like side gigs, I call them side quests, where it's just like people ask me to host different things, or like ambassadorships for certain businesses and stuff like that.
That's like your sponsorships kind of.
Kind of, but not for the podcast, just for me as Kamaka.
So how are you managing your time?
Poorly. Nah, I have a good balance. I have a good self-care routine. You know, I work out every morning. I do the sauna and cold plunge. So,
And what kind of workout?
at
Lifting weights?
45, yeah,
Oh.
it's weighted, body weights, different kind of exercise machines. It's just 45 minutes in and out, and you're good. So I love starting off my day with something hard like that.
And then you go sauna next, and then cold plunge, or cold plunge and then?
Depends. Most times I start with sauna and cold plunge. It's contrast therapy, so I go back and forth a couple rounds depending how much time I have, and then I start meetings later in the day, and then always running around doing errands or meeting with people, doing podcasts. It's nice because it's hectic. I feel like my life is an organized mess because I have the freedom to do whatever I want. So I can schedule things accordingly. Like I can have a very slow morning and start with working out and sauna and cold plunge and then start my day at 10. But then sometimes I'm working all the way to like midnight, But I like it. It works for me.
Which one would you say is your primary?
Primary, I would say, is the podcast right now. And then Hawaiiverse, the nonprofit.
But Hawaiiverse, you were doing that from before, right?
Since the pandemic for 3 years. Yeah, but I'm more hands off now. But I'm very still like involved.
And that was like support local.
Yeah, so we have a coupon directory and an e-commerce store as well. So it's an app that people can go download, and then our website where people can buy stuff.
And you were doing content for that too, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where the podcast came from, or?
And we started it from Hawaiiverse. So it used to be the Hawaiiverse podcast. But then the conversations just started gravitating more towards like culture and people instead of like business. So I separated it because people were confused. They're like, I love Hawaiiverse, great podcast. And we're like, oh, actually, we're not really a podcast. We're this. So I separated it. Yeah.
And then you still do content for Hawaiiverse or no?
If they need. Yeah. My main focus is the podcast and probably going to be the nonprofit now. And then just other like side quests that I have.
What's a nonprofit?
It's called Hawaiian. It's an agriculture nonprofit that's based on 4 pillars: preservation, restoration, education, and sustainability. So we have 1 acre right at the foot of Olomana, right outside, like right between Waimanalo and Kailua. So we're going to grow some native Hawaiian plants, try to do some vertical farming, and then kind of turn this place into a place that we can educate people on modern and traditional practices, as well as have community days and grow stuff and, help become more sustainable.
So you grow kalo and stuff like that too?
Yeah. Not just kalo. It's not going to be like a lo'i. It'd just be like, we're going to have canoe plants. We're going to have Hawaiian, like endemic plants, and just see where it goes from there. And I'm excited because that's one thing that I didn't practice growing up, farming. So I'm excited to like get into that world.
When you said we, who's we?
Me and my family.
Oh.
Yeah. My dad actually loves plants, and he's always grown momaki. And
so your dad lives on Oahu?
All my family's in Big Island.
Oh.
Except some of my siblings.
But they're going to come here and work it at Olomana or no?
Oh, no, no. We growing up as in my family. We now as in like my business partners, my nonprofit partners.
Who are those?
This guy, he's a singer, Elijah Sky, also a great entrepreneur. This guy, Philip. He's from here, kind of lived all over the world, made a really successful career in New York. Now he's back and he's kind of helping us with all the back end stuff.
What kind of work?
Investing and like starting businesses. So he's like very...
Oh, so he's retired kind.
He's 30 something, but he could probably retire.
Yeah.
He's very... Yeah, he did well for himself. So now he just kind of want to give back.
He's Hawaiian?
Yeah. He looks like a West Side boy, tattoos, drives an old Toyota 4Runner. But probably has more money than all of us combined. So I love how he carries himself. And then Malama, she's one of the first Native Hawaiian female lawyers from Maui. She lives here, so she's part of that. And then me.
So she's older.
She's probably, in her 40s. Kids.
So how did this whole thing come together then?
I met Philip earlier in this year and just been connected. And then I knew Elijah just through some events. So we ended up just grabbing lunch one day, just like, hey, we should meet up, just talk stories. And then after that, we were thinking like, hey, we should start a nonprofit. And we're the kind of people that when we say something, we do it. So we ended up doing it. And we just had the right personnel to help us with that. And we got our 501(c) pretty fast. And now it's here and we got to get going. We got to get
So you already have the land?
We already have the land, 1 acre.
Was that from the state or something?
No, it's private.
It? Oh.
Where we know this guy who has like 1 acre and he's leasing it to us for $1 a month. We're basically like helping him cultivate his land. So he's also going to like put some work in it, but then we're going to also, it's like a mutual benefit thing.
So you guys are fundraising now?
Yeah. So we're in our first round of donations.
So it's all going to be donations? You're going to go for grants?
Yeah, we're doing grants as well.
And then you're going to do some kind of like programmatic things that you charge money for and so on?
I don't know about charge money. I'm not like the business guy in this. I'm more just like face marketing, networking, talking to people kind.
Yeah.
And that's like what's been so awesome with all the businesses that I've had because I don't have the business background. I just have a great team that knows how to do all of that.
You're only in your 20s?
I'm 30.
Oh, you're
I
30.
just look young.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's why I have a lot of life experience. When people see me, they're like, you're talking about all these things, but you look like you're 21.
so what's your plan for the future then?
Keep doing what I'm doing. I think I found out my passion, and it's in community and it's in helping others. I love doing the podcast, just having one-on-one conversations like this, because I'm more naturally introverted. I mean, I love people and I'm super adaptable. I can appear outgoing and have conversations with people, but I prefer just like small.
But not really
crowds.
your thing.
Yeah, it's not really my thing. I don't like to go out, and I'm a homebody. So that's why I love the podcast. And then just, whatever the next most exciting thing is, I'm just always open.
You were always doing a podcast, but then you kind of spun it out. Is that what it was?
No. So at Hawaiiverse, we did these spotlights where we would highlight businesses. It's like a video thing. I would go and talk stories with them, highlight their products and services. And then we stopped
like
doing
Tiny
that.
TV kind of.
Kind of, yeah. I always say he's the original influencer. Yeah, Tiny Tadani. He's the original influencer. So we did that, and then like my business partners, we stopped doing that, and they said, "Come on, you should start a podcast." And I actually didn't want to start a podcast, which is funny because I was thinking like, why would people want to listen to me? But I ended up finding a niche.
That was during the pandemic?
That it was in 2021, after, like towards the end. And then I ended up just getting a bunch of good guests, and then it blew up. I think it found the right audience. So I think we got lucky with the timing and then just consistency.
Was it just kind of cruising and then all of a sudden, boom?
I never expected this to be my career. I never expected to get paid from it. It was just something that we were doing. And then it started to grow and grow and grow. And then some videos started to go viral. So we got a lot of followers. And
like, what was the first one that kind of, when you first said, oh, wow?
It was Lanai Tabura. His clips went super viral. It's like over 1 million views. And then we started getting followers. And we were getting like thousands of followers a day. Like thousands. So we went to 10K.
And what was it before that? How many followers before that?
A couple thousands. Like we had a solid following. But then after that, it like went up to 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K. And then it kind of plateaus. We're at like 50. We're almost at 60K. For my personal, like I don't care about social media. I don't care about the following. Now I see it as a business. So I care about like the podcast side, because the more viewers we get, we can get more bigger sponsors, and then we can, reach more people. So in that sense, I do care. But all the social media stuff, like that's not what I see my future in being. Like I'd rather be a little bit more low key. But I'm just good at it, and I know that it's necessary for now.
What would you say is kind of the turning point for that when it just hit? Did you not make any change? It just
No. I think when people started sending messages, and like I started getting recognized in person. I get recognized almost every time I go out from the podcast. And it's crazy because it's just a podcast. It's just me talking to people. So it's crazy that it reaches so many people and that people appreciate it. And I love it because it's not like I was famous off of a random video or like infamous for doing something like a reality TV show. It's just when people come up to me, it's just gratitude. Like, thanks for doing this. Like, it's so important that you're having these conversations. So it validates me and motivates me to continue doing it.
So for that, what's the most like meaningful one for you?
I think a lot of the messages from people outside of Hawaii that resonate with a certain clip or an episode or just the entire thing, saying like, it helps me stay connected to Hawaii. Or this clip, like a recent one of our guests shared about how this guy who's gonna kill himself, he thought of killing himself. He said that he came to Hawaii and a group of people were really nice to him and took him in, asked him to go to dinner, and after that, he didn't kill himself. And then, so we shared that clip, and then I got a message from somebody saying like, they were also like that, and they were thinking about killing themselves, but they came to Hawaii and they had a similar experience, and it saved them. So stuff like that is just, man, I'm not here trying to save lives, but if you can just affect somebody positively with just these clips, with just these conversations, like, why wouldn't you do it? And that's why I love doing it, because now I don't feel pressure to continue to do it and like be this great, amazing podcast, but I do have a standard that I want to uphold, and I always want to be consistent and give people quality things, because I know it helps people, and I love helping. So it just aligns with everything I want to do.
So how many people on your team for the podcast?
Oh, just me. And
so you're doing the videoing and the editing and everything?
Just me and my videographer. So he does all the video. I do everything else.
You're doing all the editing?
He does like all the video editing, and then I do all the posting, scheduling, timestamping. I give him tell him where to edit, and then I post on all 4 different social media platforms every single day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's never ends.
And then now, what kind of traffic are you getting?
We have maybe collectively over 130,000 followers, and I think collectively 40 million views from all of our shorts. And
just in 2 years?
2 years, yeah. And it makes me excited because I'm still a beginner at this.
Mm-hmm.
It's still so early. We were just blessed that we found success quickly. So I'm excited to see what it's going to look like in 5 years, in 10 years.
How quick was it when you figured oh, this is working? How long into it?
A year in maybe, or 8 to 12 months in.
And you're going every week?
Yeah.
And then was there ever a point where you're like, oh, this is too much?
No, because I think I'm just good at doing things that I don't like doing. Or I'm good at doing hard things. From the race to 50K, posting every single day, working every single day, even when I didn't want to, while also working out and taking care of my mental health and physical health. So I'm callous. And I know that it's when something's necessary, even if I don't want to do it, I got to do it. If I'm tired, wake up and do it.
Where does that come from?
Sports, life, TVs, motivational quotes, myself. My mindset is just, I'm super big into, mindset, and I believe in my abilities. And now doing certain things like the Peace Corps, that's the hardest thing I'll ever do. Nothing comes close. I just ran a marathon and I was like, yeah, I was hard on my body, but that's still not harder than the Peace Corps,
Why?
So it's they say it's the hardest job you'll ever love. I mean, you're in a foreign country. You don't speak the language. You probably just got out of college. You're living with limited resources. You're trying to integrate into a community. You're trying to do a job that you've never done before. You're isolated. You learn so much about yourself. It was the most transformative moment of my life. I'm a different person because of it.
How did you even find out about it?
When I was studying abroad in Spain, I heard my resident director talking about it. He was in the Peace Corps in Micronesia. So I wasn't even involved in the conversation. I just overheard it. And then I went home and looked it up, and I watched the video, and I was like, wow, this is exactly what I want to do. Travel, learn new cultures, learn a new language, help out.
On your podcast, what's a question that you asked, or your favorite go-to question that you would ask everybody that gives answers that you would never expect?
Well, so a consistent one is I ask, how do they keep it aloha? Which is, everyone kind of has similar answers. But I love the question of what is something you wish people knew about you that they don't. I love that. Or something you think people misunderstand about you.
And what would be your answer to that?
I think one that I am just very, very chill. To the point where people think I smoke weed and I don't. Very simple. I enjoy the benefits of social media, but I don't necessarily like social media. I prefer just to be offline and kind of low key. I'm a homebody. I appear very extroverted. That's why. I think that's the main thing. And maybe my kindness is real. It's not an act. I just love doing things for others. And you could say I'm a people pleaser, but honestly, and I've talked about it before, there's a lot of self-interest in it because doing nice things make me feel good. So if it didn't make me feel good, I probably wouldn't do it. So I just love doing nice things for people, and I don't need anything in return besides a thank you.
And then how about something that you never mentioned before, or in that same vein, in the same question, something surprising, but you've never actually said it out loud in a public forum?
I feel like maybe I could come off as I've had a great life. I've had nothing hard happen to me, but because I'm an optimistic person, I've just learned how to take the bad and still be happy and still be good. Because yes, I've had a great childhood, loving parents, but I still am a child of divorce. I know my parents struggled. I've struggled with things growing up that I just never talked about. I've had super hard things, especially in the Peace Corps, I had surgery over there. I was 8 hours away from the hospital. I got stuck in a cyclone just going back to my site, I had to sleep on the bus and walk 8 hours back to our site, and just like having to deal with people trying to take advantage of you, heartbreaks, you know, breaking hearts. Everybody goes through hard things in life, and hard is different to everybody, but not everybody talks about it. And you don't need to, you know. Social media, we show our highlights, and like I talk about like hard things, but most people see the success, you know. Like they don't see me working till midnight almost every single night. They just see a happy person waking up in the morning telling you about the podcast and all these other businesses, you know. So there's a lot that goes on in the background, and like people deal with things like loneliness, stress, bills, and like how you gonna afford to live in Hawaii. There's a lot of things that people have to deal with. They just don't talk about.
So what's been your greatest challenge?
Trying to figure out
Overcome it.
what kind of life I want to live. Especially now where like I just got out of a relationship in August. So I live alone now. And I like being alone. I'm an independent person.
You like it, or it's familiar?
No, I like it. I like it. I think I was in a very comfortable relationship. We broke up because I didn't want kids. So there was nothing wrong with it. It was like the best relationship I've ever had. We're still great friends. So like I left it because I didn't want to take that away from her. I'm not afraid to be uncomfortable.
How come you don't want kids?
I just realized in the last year, seeing all my friends and family have kids, it just didn't look fun, and it takes a lot of time and effort. And I just don't think in my life that's what I want, at least for now. As men, we could change our minds. So I think in another 5 years, I'll reevaluate. Just right now,
You
I'm
could be
just
70 and still have one kid,
exactly,
brother.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see. But I'm pretty set, and I've come to the conclusion that I would be okay if I didn't. I could still be open to having kids, but I would be fine if I didn't. And that's very liberating to not have to think about that, because like that's the next step in life, right? Get a job, find somebody, have kids, start a family. So now that that's kind of like off of my shoulders, I can just focus on what I'm doing now.
So was that the only reason that you broke up with your partner?
Yeah, that was like the deal breaker.
Or were they super surprised, or not really?
I think she kind of started to see it coming, because in the beginning when we first got together, we were like, you know, I want kids, 3 kids. I want to be married at 33, blah, blah, blah. And it's just something that I felt like I always said, because that's the natural progression of life. So until that we actually had to have the conversation and think about it as a real possibility, that's when I was like, wait. I don't know if this is what I actually want. So it was a very tough decision, probably one of the hardest decisions I've had to make.
You regret it?
No, I don't. I'm really happy I've accepted it. And that's where I'm at right now, is trying to figure out what life I want to live. Is it like alone or with a partner? And like if I do find a partner, how does that look like? Is it just a companion? Is it a full-on relationship? Is it just nice to have somebody around? So that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. I'm in like discovery. Because like I wouldn't say like I'm in recovery phase. Like one of the good questions I ask is, where are you in your life now? You know, and that could be for anybody in like a relationship or wherever. So right now I'm trying to create the life that I think is possible. And business wise, I think I'm on the right path. Financially, I'm getting there. Personal health wise, I'm like really happy where I'm at. Just the relationship side, I have to figure that out, especially now because I'm like a public figure. I can't just be going around dating all kind of people and like, oh, there's a podcast guy taking another girl out to dinner or something.
Why not?
No, I could, but I like having a good image, and I just don't think that's me. Like I was never like that, you know. I'm not one of those guys that just like talks to a lot of girls. I'm very like, I keep to myself. I think that's like the hard thing too, is like I don't need anybody, because I'm so happy by myself. I just have to find out like, how does having somebody else in my life fit into my life, and in what capacity.
How are you doing that though?
I don't know. I'm not focused on that part. I'm focusing on the things that I can control, which is my business, my health.
I think it's more like, how are you determining like what it is that you really want?
A lot of reflecting, thinking, digging deep, and being like, okay, am I lonely or I'm just alone? You know,
There's a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Do I want a romantic?
What was the answer?
Companionship is nice. I think having somebody to like share things with is nice. That's what I miss the most about my relationship, is because like that you have like a best friend, right? You come home and you talk about everything. And that's something that I realized in the Peace Corps too, which I like being alone, but you don't realize how lonely you are until at the end of the day you have a million things to talk about and no one to share them with.
Weren't you in the Peace Corps in a group?
But you live alone. After training, you live alone, just in a
Oh,
house
you
by
all
yourself.
split up, you mean?
Yeah, you split up.
Oh, so you're not at Madagascar with like Peace Corps people?
No. You get sent off to a town or a village by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the volunteer for that place. So that's why it's like, dang, you really find out about yourself. Either find out you love being alone or you hate it.
And what'd you find out?
I love being alone.
Hmm.
But I
You
do
love
like
being alone, but then...
but I do like companionship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more just having somebody. And that could be just having somebody. It doesn't always have to be romantic.
Mm-hmm.
I think just having somebody to talk to, whether that's a friend or a romantic interest. I think just having somebody, because I don't think we're meant to be alone. As much as I want to tell myself I don't need anybody and I can be alone for the rest of my life, I think...
You tell yourself that?
Yeah, I mean, like when I broke up with my girlfriend, I was like, I'm just going to die alone. If like this is the best relationship I've ever had and this isn't even good enough for me, then I don't know what's going to be good for me. You know, that's just me talking. I don't think that's actually what's going to happen, but I think a lot. I reflect. I sit in silence a lot.
What would be the deepest question you would ask yourself right now?
Are you capable of being loved? Because I think I'm a loving person and I can give love and I can help out. I love giving, but I think receiving is still... I can take compliments. I can take gifts. I don't really care for them. The gifts. I'll take the compliments. But yeah, being able to just like completely, I guess, be loved. I think that's the thing that I guess I haven't figured out yet.
What part of yourself feels it's not worthy of that love? So you're in your head right now, right? Thinking is like calculating and so on. This question, which is like, am I capable of being really, truly loved? Am I capable of like kind of surrendering to that and being open to it?
Yeah.
Is like neck down.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. It will come from your body and then it'll come up. Trying to rationalize it and stuff might be pretty hard.
I think I may have flipped that. I think that I have a hard time loving, and it's in a very specific relationship context, because actually I accept so much love from my family and friends and even my past partner. Like, actually, I don't think I mind all of that. I take all the love. I think I have a hard time loving back. That's the hard part, because that's where I don't want to be like, I love you so much that I need you. I think that's what it is. Because when I was talking about like needing you, like, but that's not about receiving love. I think that's more about like getting to a point where I can't control the love that I have for somebody. I think that's what it is.
It's a tender area for you, because I know you can bust your way through painful stuff.
Yeah.
You can do the marathon. You can freaking do like travel the world, don't know the language, do all that kind of stuff. And this one is hard for you to get to.
Yeah.
You can run a marathon probably right now.
Yeah.
Easier than you can get to this.
I think it's also what I have least experience in. So I have to figure it out.
It's not so much even figuring it out as like, I'm going to like calculate, I'm going to notice. What it actually is being able to kind of be open and surrender to letting it come up.
Mm-hmm. So not trying to repress it or
repressing it is absolutely.
So just whatever happens naturally, just listen to that.
Well, the hard piece on it is that this area most likely has been pushed down your whole life. You know what I mean? So like our most painful shit, bruh, we're pushing that down. We're ignoring it. We're trying to we don't want that stuff coming up until it kind of has to. You know what I mean? It's like you choose like the lesser pain. Which pain is less, right? If in this area of my life it's not painful, then freaking I don't care. I'm not gonna have to. But when it does become painful, stuff starts to go and we start to feel things that are like, oh my God, this is not happening. That's like being voluntold that we have to focus. So it's an example would be like if you had a toothache right now, right? You had a toothache right now, then what would you do about it? What would you do about it? Just kind of sore a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably take medicine.
Whatever, brush it and so on. But then it starts to get like super sore and then like pussy and stuff. Now what do you got to do?
Go to the doctor, call the doctor.
Right. You go to the dentist. And when you go to the dentist and you go for that, what just happened is you focused on it to be able to resolve it.
Yeah. So what's my homework?
See, stuff like this though, on this one, for the most part, is super hard to do on your own. because in order to really like let our parts of us internally that need to express themselves express, we typically need another nervous system to hold it. You know what I mean? Because it's too much. A lot of times the painful internal like wounding gets stuck when we're alone, right? Something happens when we're younger and we can't make sense of it. It's overwhelming at the time and there's nobody to help us through it. It was too much. Then it's stuck. And then it gets compounded on. And then now we're adults and it's like, fuck, I don't open that, right? I ain't opening that up. So this is where the hardest, and this might be one of the harder things for you, it may not be, which is to actually embrace help from others.
That's funny. I just did a Reiki stuff recently. And the thing is, she said that like one of my lessons or whatever that she could feel like you need to be okay with receiving and like getting help.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. She could like feel it or whatever.
Yeah. How are you at being able to ask for and accept help?
For now, I feel like the only part I need help with is business. Like I feel like I'm all right with everything else.
And if that's the case, then you just go with it.
Yeah.
Right? Like who cares?
Yeah. And I'm very good at being aware of like how I'm feeling and like, so I don't burn out anymore. I'm like, I have a really good balance. Like I know when I'm like, I have too much or when I have to slow down. So like I'm really,
in terms of your body breaking down.
And just mentally too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've like, because I've been through it.
Yeah.
So now I know the triggers. And so now I'm just like, I've been very mentally healthy and for the last couple of years.
And the nice thing is to stay there.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we covered a lot of stuff that I rarely talk about on other podcasts. So I really appreciate the conversation.
I did see something kind of interesting. I was like, I just kind of go with it. I think I'd like to talk to this person. That's why I reached out to Kavika. I said, Kavika, try to introduce me because I want to invite him onto my show. I don't have any really rhyme or reason why, but something is just interesting to me or I'm curious about or so on, which is like, you know, you as Kamaka, how does that make sense? Because like I watch your upbringing as you are put into Hawaiian immersion, right? And initially starting off as like, kind of shame of this. It's kind of weird. And I don't really want to talk in groups and so on to where you are today, which is like completely opposite to an extent, right? Like being super out there and kind of leading the charge of like, hey, it's okay to be Hawaiian, bro. It's okay to just be. This is who we kind of are, and sharing that. I don't know. It's just to me, it's more like navigator. That's why I said navigator. You know, like Naino Thompson, and he takes on who. It's like navigating. It's like voyaging. Maybe voyaging is more a better term.
I'm a voyager.
Kind of right, right. Like I want to explore new things.
Yeah,
I want to connect cultures. I want to share what we have. I want to discover what others have. And I want to do that for whatever reasons it is that you kind of want to do that kind of connecting things.
Yeah. We were just talking about on my last podcast, one of the questions for the guest was like, if you were back in like the olden days, like what would your kuleana be? Like, what would you be? He was like a kahu, a priest. And I said, I don't know what I'd be. Definitely not like a warrior, like physical. But yeah, maybe that's what it is, a voyager.
Voyager, right? You're the one that's going to
explore unknown.
And you're going to bring stuff back to us.
Yeah.
And then you're going to connect different cultures and explore.
Yeah, that's, I guess, what I've been doing.
And share what we have.
Yeah.
You know, part of it is sharing what we've got to offer. And when I say we, I mean like, it's like if I was Native Hawaiian. I'm not, but by what? It would like sharing of what we are.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Voyager.
Well, I just wanted to acknowledge you. Thank you for coming today. Yeah. I know we didn't know each other before this. I feel like I know you now, at least a little bit more.
Yes.
And I appreciate all that you're doing, not just share, but perpetuate and express Hawaiian, all you have to offer, and connecting people and keeping it aloha.
Yeah. Mahalo for having me. Yeah. It's honestly very refreshing and it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. We'll stay connected.
Cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.